Okay, welcome back to playthrough 160th anniversary of Battle of Second Winchester. We're using Death Valley from GMT for this. As I said before, we're up to the 4 p.m. turn over here, and we are taking a look at what happened here, and this was a significant turn. So we're up to 1600, 4 p.m. turn. Pretty significant in terms of what happened there. I'll go through the larger map. I think the bigger story is going to be the actual AM draw. I want to show you those as well as how it laid out here. So first off, Confederates won the initiative. So out of the 6 turns so far, Confederates have 5 turns with the initiative, and the Union had 1. Now, in terms of this turn's AMs, first off, our efficiency is both 3s again, which was very good for the Confederates, and fairly good for the Union in terms of what happened here to give them some options. But you can kind of see what happened on here. First off, Early was the one who was drawn first or given first go at this. So then we see our draws being Early, Johnson, Early, Johnson, Johnson. So right off the bat, we have 5 Confederate AMs, 3 of them being all of one division, and then 2 of the other division. And that was quite devastating on there. And I'll show that here in a second. Because Early in particular could just bull rush right into the remnants of the Union defenses. And that's basically what they did. Same thing with Johnson. They could actually kind of roll up and keep pushing forward from there. So then followed by Milroy finally came out here on the 6th activation. So we had Milroy, Early, Milroy, Early. This somewhat mitigated the situation, although it was more of Milroy pulling back because of the losses that they took. And it was pretty significant, as we'll see within here. But they pulled back, trying to cobble together some sort of last defense for this last turn coming up, the 1700 5 p.m. turn coming across there. But this is probably the biggest thing for the turn, is this and how this actually played out. So let's take a look at how it played out. Going back to our overhead camera, this is the end of the turn and what the situation looks like. Here we have Early's division and Johnson's division spread out over here. You can see there's quite a bit of advances. Johnson was started somewhere around here, here and here range. They've pushed all the way up, and actually Early kind of held them back in the last couple turns, so they didn't get the full fatigue. They're already sitting at 0 fatigue on there, and didn't want them to get to the +1 because that would be detrimental. He thinks Gordon can get up here and potentially go after these guns up here. I don't know. It's going to be a little bit tricky, but they've already captured this hex here, which is going to give them 1 point for this 1400 turn and another point for the next turn, which is going to be helpful. And we'll go through the victory points there later. This location threatened by Jones up here, they should be able to get that location as well to give them more victory points up there. But there'll be a big push by Gordon here in the center to try to get up, take these earthworks up here on the hill. Over here. One little oddity here with Early, with one of the retreats by the Union cavalry, they retreated back into the woods over here, easily surrounded by units. They're in advance orders, so they can't move next to anybody. So they're kind of stuck here a little bit because they really can't go anywhere with it. And by Herbert's troops down here, Probably keep it that way. I don't want them dashing back to try to get victory points back here, even though they may try. Hayes, on the other hand, will continue to move up in support of Gordon now, who's on the main assault over here. For Johnson's side, Jones pushing up over here, as I mentioned before. We've got Walker over here, who's cleared this hill. If you remember, Ely was lined up here on the hill. They've retreated, pushed back over here. In fact, so far, I don't know if you can see it. It might be slightly off camera. Yes, it is. The guns of Ely are way up here with Milroy, heading back towards Winchester itself. So Walker's cleared this. Williams, they were out of command again, but they've pushed up the road this way, and they should be able to get up here. I'm not sure if they're going to get that victory hex or not, because you can see Ely has deployed. This is this Connecticut? I can't see. No, 5th Maryland. Sorry, 5th Maryland is really the only good regiment left over with Ely, and they're holding the position over there. So, very good situation with the Confederates. They did take some significant losses. Gordon's units lost some strength points. There were some disorders, promptly recovered given their cohesion levels. Some very bad shooting, namely from Early's troops over there, very low numbers, which kept the Union from just being completely routed over on this side. I mean, it's bad right now, but it could be a lot worse, on here. And the same over here in the center here as well. Now, with the Union, it really is dire straits for them. They've pulled back here. A lot of collapsed units. We've got Elliott over here. We've got Ely over there. Milroy back here, trying to pull something together. We do have some sort of defense here around this victory hex over here, but I'm feeling Jones can brush through that in the last turn and get at least one more victory point there. And then we've got Walker, who can either support that attack or try to go up here and support this with Williams over here. Now Williams will be out of command for the next turn. He is way out of the way. Johnson's over here. He'll be able to command most of his brigades within here, as well as the artillery. But Williams will be out of command over here, so they'll be able to move up and support, but I'm not sure how much they'll be into the attack there as well. So that's the situation. Very heavy losses for the Union on here. Just taking a look at the routed and eliminated units. This is what we're going to see here. So let me flip the camera around again for you. All right, here we are. So let me tip you around here. Come on, there we go. One more time. There we go. So here's the routed. You can see down here we have the whole 123rd Ohio completely routed. One is collapsed. Several strength losses here as well with them. So you can see they were reduced. Same thing with the 18th Connecticut over here, collapsed down to 1. The other unit routed as well. 13th PA routed over here, and then completely eliminated units. The one more from the 18th Connecticut, and then one from the 12th West Virginia Regiment eliminated over there as well. So quite a bit of heavy losses for the Union side. Confederate side, we're looking, no losses, few strength points, disordered, so forth, but they're in pretty good shape. Now what that equates to, if you notice over here, in terms of victory points, so far with what they have, the Union will rack up about 12 victory points. Pretty respectable in terms of this scenario. Confederates, so far, it's actually 16. We'll have 16 points. So at this point, the scenario is still technically a draw. Got to get 5 or better to get up to a marginal victory for the Confederates. Now I think they can just by sitting here, because they'll get 1 more for the toll booth victory point. So that'll bring them up to 17, which will give them 5. I don't think the Union can get any victory points unless that cavalry that's surrounded can slip out and cause some headache over there as well. So I'm thinking that the Confederates should get at least 1 more victory point, if not 2, from capturing that other hex over there. So I'm just going to jump back over and give you an idea of what the last turn is going to look like, or get some ideas on what the last turn is going to look like. Again, I think the Confederates at least have a draw, but I think they at least have a minor victory if they leave it alone. But they're going to try to push up here for the hills, try to get these guns up here with Gordon and Hayes up across here. Continue to pin this unit here so it doesn't cause any loss or increase of Union victory points. Try to push in here to capture victory points. And again, more eliminations of units. I think from a cavalry perspective, because part of the Confederate, a good chunk of Confederate points, about 5 points, are cavalry strength point losses versus 2 cavalry strength point losses for the Confederates. So a good portion of that over there. The other thing I didn't note for you, you may have seen it already, but both Elliott and Ely are combat ineffective, which actually should make, in this scenario, it should make Milroy ineffective. I'm going to have to check on that. That's a good point. If Milroy as a division becomes division ineffective as part of this scenario. So that would give more points to them as well. So we'll play this out, and I will have some final thoughts in the next video. That one probably will be short as well, and I'll probably tag that onto the bottom end of, or the tail end of this video, and give you the final turn, the final thoughts on this, and we'll go from there. So that's it for now. That's turn 1600. We're on to turn 1700, and the last turn. So hopefully you're enjoying. Thanks for watching. Okay, welcome back. 160th playthrough, Battle of 2nd Winchester. We're up to turn 1700, which is basically the last turn of the game, 5 p.m. There we go. There's where it is. And we've finished it off here. Rather, I don't want to say slow ending, but kind of a cleanup type of turn here, and I'll show you what this looks like here. First off, start again with the AM's initiative. Confederates won the initiative. So during the battle, 7 out of 7 turns, 6 of them Confederate initiative, 1 of them Union initiative. Efficiency this turn, both had 2. Early was modified. Early modifies to 3. Milroy modifies to 3 as well. Johnson stayed at 2. So, how did the AMs go here? So they went like this. Early was the picked one. Milroy, Johnson, Milroy, Early, Johnson, Milroy, and then Early rounded it out down there. So kind of a mixed bag in terms of it, kind of a equal distribution in terms of the AM draws over here. And how did that translate to the last turn? I don't want to say anticlimactic here, but it turn that back off there. Very well. They did press forward. Confederates did press forward, as we can see over here. Early, Gordon pushed up here as much as they could through the woods, but unfortunately wasn't able to get up to the hill itself. Between the artillery, surprisingly, the artillery up here had some good shots to pin down a couple of units here that had to recover, and they weren't able to brush up there as much as possible. Same thing with the Ely's artillery. They were able to pin down some of the advancing units on that side, and I'll get to that in a second. So as you can see, Gordon had moved up here just to the base of Bowers Hill and the earthworks up here. Didn't get a chance to assault them. Hayes moved up to support him in there. A little bit of traffic jam getting down the Valley Pike through the woods here, but eventually sorted through. Again, we only had 3 AMs for them, so to get them all moving up here and everything, they dropped into advance orders, which is another thing, which is why you can see they're hex away from all the Union units. And unfortunately, Gordon did not convert on the last AM to turn into attack. So yeah, so like I said, kind of anticlimactic over here. In the center, Jones pushed back the units over here in the woods, kind of a couple of attacks through there. Walker was able to get 1 unit up in and force the Union cavalry out. The Union cavalry didn't want to take a loss there, so they took a loss for the victory hex. Again, it's a Confederate victory, so at this point it's self-preservation. Williams over here moved up, couldn't attack. He was out of command this turn, so he moved up just to exchange some fire with those units over there. So the Union held the Milroy Pike intersection with the Front Royal Road over there. And it's a little bit of a conciliatory victory for the Union over there. So that's the final dispositions of the units. The Union is in big trouble. Milroy is retreating back. He'll have to call up his other division here to hold off. As the day winds on, there was only a couple more hours till dark when they can pull back to the forts to the northwest of the town and try to hold off a Confederate onslaught the next day. So, taking a look at what we're looking at in terms of victory conditions over here. I showed you the casualties already. The final victory points, bringing back over to my other camera, I'll show you here again. I previewed them in the last turn, but there'll be no surprise. Over here, Union stayed at 12 victory points, 10 plus the 2. Confederates got up to 23. Now, last time they're up to 17. You may say, well, how did they get so much? Well, looking back and consulting in the Death Valley expansion, Milroy is actually a divisional leader. Even though he's overall command, he's also a divisional leader. So that means that with both of his brigades, at least in this scenario, being combat ineffective, to me, that said that the division is now ineffective as well. So there's another 5 points for the Confederates. Plus, they had captured the Front Royal Road victory hex, and again, the other victory hex for the toll booth second turn adds up to the 23. So 23 to 12 is the final score. Now, how does that translate to victory conditions? Back over here. That actually translates to a differential of, 11? Yeah, 23 minus 12 is 11. So that gives, looking at a breakdown, 0 to 5 is draw, 6 to 10 is marginal, and 11 to 18 is tactical. So we've got a tactical victory for the Confederate Second Corps under Ewell in terms of defeating Milroy and pushing him back into the town and getting into position to attack Winchester the next day. So that's where we end it, or that's where we wind up with it. Fantastic scenario. I'm going to say it's a tough one. It's a meeting engagement. Meeting engagements are always tough, but I as I've said all along, I like them because it gives kind of a real sense of, okay, I got to watch everything going on here. I have no idea what's going to happen. It really puts me on my toes in terms of playing the game and looking at alternatives and getting maneuver going as much as possible, not just slugging it out. So I think it was really good. It's challenging from the standpoint that the Second Corps heavily outnumbers, the Confederate Second Corps heavily outnumbers Milroy's division. He has a two oversized, I should even say two oversized brigades with cavalry and regiments. So he is very mismatched, and he's got to figure out some way to accumulate points quickly. And I think I did that with him going after or coming south to go after Pritchard's Hill, the intersection here for Old Front Royal and Front Royal over here. And they did capture 10 points that way. They were able to hold out and actually in a couple situations get the 2-point turn victory points for those hexes. So that seems to be a viable defense. The tricky part is once the Confederates engage, it's going to be tough because as you saw in my tactical video that I showed you, we had a brigade going against a regiment in terms of the attacks. So you've got to be careful in terms of falling back and falling back and falling back as quickly as possible, giving ground slowly. Again, AM draws were a big thing. I think they favored the Confederates a little bit more with some of the early ones that gave us, very heavy, one-sided AM draws where it had all Confederates or all Union, and then all Confederates on all Union as well. And I think that favored the Confederates a little bit in terms of their maneuverability. But once they were able to engage, it was fairly devastating to them. Luckily, they had the numbers because actually the dice rolls for the Confederates really failed them. They rolled a lot of below 5, I'll call it, dice rolls. So the Union kind of hung in there quite a bit. And luckily, their cohesion is fairly decent. The Union cohesion is fairly decent. So they were able to, put up enough roadblocks, I think, to hold off. The real kicker, I think, if you watch the video prior to this, on the front end of this one, was this last turn, 1400, where the Confederates got, 4 AMs, early AMs, came right out, and they could just smash right into them. And then Johnson's came out, and they could smash right into them. And whatever defense that they had just crumbled at that point because you had this full weight of divisions hitting individual regiments, that were holding out over there. And that was the real big crush. I could see this going a different way if the AM draws were a little bit different. Dice rolls were a little bit different here as well. But I will say it is a tough one for the Union. I would heavily recommend, if I was playing this, looking at this now, if I was playing this against somebody else, as a stronger player, or one who is a stronger player, would take the Union side for balance. It's going to be tough, and you're going to use all your skills as a Great Battles of the American Civil War player to win this, whereas a lesser player has a little bit more leeway to make mistakes with the Confederates, with Ewell's troops. But definitely a very good one. I think it's manageable too. It's a map and a half, I guess, which is it's hard to see, and I don't have a wide enough camera to show you, but we're really looking at this map here, which is the extension plus the full-size map, and then a little bit wings down here, which you can see on the corners over in there to this. So it fits on a table pretty well. Easy to play, short, 7 turns. I play these a little slow because I like to enjoy them. Fine wine or fine meal or whatever I think of them. I like to enjoy them. I like to see the strategy behind them. I like to see what my options are, play out the rules as much as I can, and see how it goes. But I could see this, as a two-player game running very quickly. This could be an afternoon game very easily if you needed to. So great battles, the American Civil War. Death Valley, 2nd Winchester, 160th anniversary playthrough. Real eye-opener. Really like this. They did a great job on this. Like I said, I tested the second scenario over here as well. I was hoping to get to actually put up the third day of this, but I don't think I'm going to have time before my next set of videos that I need to do. And maybe I'll save that one for next year or something, for another time. But all good, all good. If you don't have it already, Death Valley and the expansion pack, this guy right here, if I can get it there, that guy right there, really good scenarios, just extends upon the wealth of goodness that you have with Death Valley in terms of playability and things like that. So enjoyed it. Hopefully you liked this. If you did, please feel free to like it. Any comments are appreciated. I usually try to thank you at least if you leave a comment. And we will see you on the next 160th battle of the American Civil War. And I'll leave you to the imagination of what that's going to be here the end of June in 1863. So take care. Bye-bye.